So we're going to talk a little bit about Google Classroom and how to turn on grades so you can get grades out to students through Google Classroom. And here is the slide in the document. And just to remind you, you can click on the G to get to the Google documentation links, and you can click on the video to get the video link, which you've probably done if you're listening to this. So the way it works is in order to add grades, you need to go to the settings in your class. So you got to make sure you go to your class, and you're going to make sure it's going to pop you right onto the stream, and you're going to see there's a gear in the side right near your image or your icon, whatever you have for that. You're going to click on the gear in order to open the class settings. And you're going to scroll down, and the very last thing, there's three major sections, and the last section is the grading one, and that's the one we want for this. So once you're there, you can notice that there's just a few things you can do in this section. So the first is the overall grade calculation, and the default is no overall grade, and there's a little down arrow that you can click on, and when you click on that, then a menu will pop up. It'll actually go down, but I have just made a little screenshot to the side. And you can see the default is shaded, and then you have the option of picking total points and weighted by category. And obviously you would pick the one that you're using in your gradebook, what you're using for your student information system. So if you're picking whichever one it is, make sure that they match, because you can export grades and you can make your life a lot easier by using this feature. So once you do that and you pick what you typically use, then you can choose to show the overall grade to the students. So you can turn that on. This is like a little button that slides. So all you do is you just click over in the right section to turn it on. So you want that button over to the right to be on, and this right now is off. So if you have picked weighted by category, then you need to add in the category so it knows what weight to give each item. So I did that, and I showed you what it looks like down here. So it would actually go right below. And it tells you it needs to add up to 100%, and you can just type in your category, what percentage you want, and then you'd click to add another category. And you do that until you make 100%. And then when you're done, make sure you scroll back up. There's actually a save button at the top, so you'd have to scroll back to the top. If you don't do that, then it's going to remind you, and it's going to say, hey, you have changes. And then it would remind you, and you'd go back up to save. And right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get out of this presentation. We're going to go into a sample Google Classroom so you can see how it will look when you're actually in a Google Classroom. When I click on Google Classroom, then I'm going to go to my main page, and I'm going to click the class that I would like to work with. And now I'm going to click the settings button, and I'm going to scroll down till I get to the grading section. And right here is where it's saying that it's not going to calculate the overall grade, but I'm going to switch that to weighted by category because that's what I use. And I'm going to turn on so that the students get to see their grades. Because for me, when the students see their grades in Google Classroom, then that alerts them, and I can get the grades closer to where they should be before I put them into PowerSchool. So it gives me just a little bit of time to alert the children and let them know the status without really causing panic at home. So that's something that I like to do. So I'm going to put in my category. So I had to click on that add grade category button, and then this popped up. So I'm going to do my projects, which are 50% of my grade. And then I have to add another category. And so I'm going to say classwork is 40% of my grade, because we're a project-based class, and then assessments is going to be 10% of my grade. And it tells me, do you see the remaining says 10%? So if I wasn't good about adding those totals up, it tells me the whole time until I reach 100%. So now I'm good, so there's no more red. And you can see the save button is up here on the top right, and I'm going to click on that. And so now I have grades. So if I go to the grades section, you can click here, and there's only one student in this class, and geez, the kid hasn't done anything at all. So you could click up here, these are links, so this create your own app. You can click here, and wow, that's a missing file. The kid hasn't done anything at all. So I can click and I can send that child a message and be like, hey, STEM, you didn't do this. You are missing this. And I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt and say, is it in your drive? Because they have trouble sometimes organizing their files. So I'm just going to ask them that question and send that along. So they're getting that private message. And I'm going to check back and see if this has prompted the student to do their work. So now that I've talked to my students, they've actually come through and they've done some of their grades. So I can click here if I've already know, like I looked at this outside because this tutorial was, these are just things that they've put in. I've checked their programs. But geez, I don't know how they answered this question. So I can click on that and then I can see that, yes, they got the right one. And so I'm going to give them 2 points for that. If I wanted to send them a comment, I could do so down here. And I can just click the return too, and it's going to send things to the student, and I can again add a private comment right there as well at the same time, or I can just send the grade. So that way they're going to get the grade, so they're going to get that instant feedback. And I can go back either just using the back button here. Oh, I guess that wasn't as fast. I had to hit that twice. So I have a couple things in. So this one I didn't send to the kid yet, but I can click down there and I can return it right here. Or you can view the submission. So there's 2 different options. So I can hit the return right there and just send the grade. So if I've already checked it out elsewhere, then I can do that. This one, I'll do the opposite here. I'm going to view the submission. So again, you can click up on the link or you can click that view submission. They even give some shortcut keys, so they're going to open this up. And so I'm going to look and I'm going to double check so they have that right and that right. So I'm going to scan. So that actually looks good. If they didn't have it right, this is a chance for, let's just say they had a couple wrong, or let's say they had 4 wrong. Let's say this person got a 16 out of 24. Then I could say, looks like you're a bit confused. Let's see. And I could tell them like which ones, maybe accelerometer and compass. Like, maybe, come meet me at nighttime next week. Or whatever it is that I want to give them for feedback. And then I post it. So they're going to get that message, and then I can again hit the return so they can get their grade right away. And I click that return. They've already gotten the comment. So now they have that information. And I can go back. I can close this out so you can see that my grades are starting to be turned in here. Which is very helpful. And so the student is going to be able to see their grades. They're going to be getting that feedback via email. And when they go into their Google Classroom, and that's going to prompt them to come see me. And if you want to get a report for each student, you can click right here and you can see how the kids did in each one. You can see when communications were happening back and forth, when there are attachments, what the attachments look like. And again, through all of these too, you can go and get more details. So like if I wanted to look and see, I can see the comment, and then I can get the details about, and I can see like, wow, like you're doing your work, but you're doing it late every single time. So that would be important information that would be very helpful to share with the student and their families. And the final piece that I told you about was that you could export your grades. And you can't export it from this grading section. You have to be actually in the file submission. So you have to be either in the classwork page and seeing what kids have submitted, but you can get there through the links. So all I did, let me just hit the back button, is I just clicked on the link I wanted to go to. And that would bring up all of the files. This only has 1 student right now just because, but I could click on the all students and see all of my students. It would show all of their folders. I just happen to have only 1 student in this class. So we're going to click on the gear, which is settings always, and there's a few different choices here. So the first one is to copy all of our grades to Google Sheets. So for those of you that like spreadsheets, you can just move it right into a Google Sheet right from Google Classroom. So that's pretty easy to do, and you can run charts and things on the grades. The other thing is you can download all of the grades. Now, both of these are all of the grades. So that means every single grade that you have entered thus far in the grade book, it's going to take all of them. And this is as a CSV, and CSV stands for comma separated values. And that means if you have a CSV file, that means you can open it in any spreadsheet program. So if you have pages, I'm sorry, not pages. If you have numbers, if you are a Mac person, if you are a Google person and use Google Sheets, if you're Microsoft and use Microsoft Excel, I'm sure there's more programs out there. And that's just a CSV, like Tableau, I think you can import as CSV, and lots of online software. So when you're dealing with data, CSV is often the way to go. So if you don't know what software the person has, most programs that import data work with CSV. So I only want these grades. And when it says these grades, it means just this particular assignment. So just the microbit assessment. So the all grades are every single grade that I have taken so far. And this one is just the assignment that I'm on. So I'm going to do just the assignment. And you can see that it has downloaded the file down here. And if I want to open it, I am going to open with my Finder. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to open it with, I'm just going to open it with Microsoft Excel. So I can sort of say which I wanted to open with on my computer. And this is how it comes out. So it gives the last name, it gives the first name, the email address, the grade the person got, says that it's returned, and then a comment that I put in it. So this is not exactly the format that PowerSchool looks for, but I'll show you how you can, if you would like to learn. You just need to ask me, and I can show you how you can make it. You can move it from here into what PowerSchool is looking for. So you just have a one grade, enter it once, and that's it.